Every single young person in any country should have an opportunity where they at least spend some time overseas.
Youth work in Northern Ireland has benefited from the Youth Council of Northern Ireland, making that link to international work.
The skills that I've gained have been invaluable to me and have got me to where I am now.
On the Monday, we are going to Stormont, which is our local government, and we're going to present this to politicians.
The Youth Council of Northern Ireland has been exemplary in its support of young people involved in international work and other types of youth work.
You're living in Northern Ireland, you're living in a small country, so you become used to the customs and traditions of people doing things. Britain and Ireland has changed significantly over the last 20, 30, 40 years. People need to be aware culturally of who else is out there.
Young people don't get many opportunities to travel. I hadn't met many people that were different from me. Most of my community were from a similar background, had a similar upbringing. So for me, I wanted the opportunity to meet people who were different, and how I thought I would do that was by travelling.
I think that international experiences are a fabulous way of accelerating learning.
I completed my European voluntary service in Luxembourg in 2007, and it was a fantastic opportunity to pull together things that I had learned in school and in different experiences and allow them to apply them in a specific work context.
In school and university you often have a very theoretical way of learning and looking at the world. These projects can be an opportunity to learn what is working actually like, what is organizing a project, being responsible for something like.
It gave me an opportunity to experience life in a different European country and meet so many other European nationalities at the same time. And all the while through the year I was gaining confidence, I was figuring out what I actually wanted to do for the next 3-4 years of my life, and it gave me the confidence to go in a certain direction that perhaps maybe if I'd been staying at home I wouldn't have had that confidence to it. So I really it was a fantastic year and a very enjoyable way to put into practice what you've learned.
Sometimes in our debates around education we seem to think that if it's fun it's not educational. The reality is that people learn a lot more when they're enjoying themselves than they do when they're stressed.
This should be fun, youth work should be fun, and young people grasp a hold of opportunities that they know are going to be fun and interactive and where they will learn.
When you have to go to another country or when you have to work with people from a different country, you're learning about language, communication, you're learning about the challenges, how people do things in their own way.
It's all about taking young people out of their comfort zones and supporting them in their learning and development.
Before I went away, I didn't really know anything about anywhere apart from Northern Ireland.
You start at 9:30 in the morning, you finish at 7. You're with a group of people you've maybe never met before. You're sharing rooms with people from different cultures, different identities. So not only are you doing a training course about a subject matter, but you're also then being almost chucked in at the deep end.
If you have a week where you're spending with a group from another country, that you learn very, very quickly about their culture, their background.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
When we took a group of young people to Peru, they were in a room with young people from Paris, from Buenos Aires and from Lima. And there were 32 young people in that room, and there were 3 different languages. And literally within 40 minutes, they were all connecting together through the medium of circus and finding a common basis on which to start a conversation and an understanding of the world around them.
It also generally challenges, I'm not a linguist, but it generally challenges most of us to try and learn a little bit of another language.
As a Spanish student, I'm doing A-level Spanish. It was great to meet with other Spanish speakers and to be able to try to speak Spanish with native speakers, and likewise they trying to speak English and sharing kind of, you know, that kind of language barrier.
I think the participation in youth exchanges delivers just innumerable benefits. It gives young people a confidence to engage with people from other cultures. It gives them a knowledge deep within themselves that they have achieved something that others haven't necessarily had that opportunity to achieve.
International relations can open up the world for a young person. They can learn a lot from good methods, good practices as well, which are taking place abroad.
Sometimes youngsters start these youth exchanges as a holiday, but when they figure out that it has a meaning, their ideas are changing.
Every year we have a fantastic community of European volunteers who work across a host of organisations in Northern Ireland, and in my view they bring an enormous amount to our organisations. They bring in a new perspective. They can often, as workers, ask the kinds of questions that people from here can't really ask.
Engaging in international activities is hard work and requires a lot of pre-planning. Ask any youth worker and I can guarantee they'll tell you it's far from being a jolly. However, the benefits are innumerable.
It's definitely not easy, and it's definitely not something that you should undertake lightly.
I get really annoyed when people turn around and say it's a jolly.
There is always a link to the local reality, which doesn't mean going to lie on a beach or doing a tourist tour around the city.
Very action-packed programmes that could be meeting the mayor, visiting a prison, visiting a youth club, meeting young people in a cafe.
There is always a supported and an enforced contact between the local young people and the visiting young people to make sure that they interact and learn from each other.
Given the intensity of contact, learning is often greatly accelerated and can be achieved within a very short period of time.
Change the world, now you have 50 minutes. Do it.
I think it's particularly important to visit places where citizenship as a concept is more developed.
Because you're involved in something that's bigger than yourself, particularly whenever you're travelling within the EU, you feel more European. You feel like you are a citizen of the EU.
I think we need to promote more the idea that we are part of a growing continent, of a union, and that the work within the European Union is a cooperation.
Youth workers have acknowledged time and time again that by engaging in international activities, they have managed to enhance their youth work practice.
I mean, for a youth worker, it's huge because, you know, you can go in there with all the knowledge in your head and have all the experience you've got, but you'll still come out with something new.
One of the upsides of that is that often we realise that some of the things we do here, we do better than people in other countries. For example, I think we have better standards around child protection than most of our European counterparts.
Trying things as other people do in other countries and taking people out of their normal situation and contrasting it with other ways that are done in other countries brings added value and added benefit to local situations that could not be done in any other way.
One of the, I think, things that I found most impressive was the realisation that Northern Ireland, and Belfast for that matter, is not actually the centre of the universe, and that the way things are done here is not the only way that things can be done.
The Youth in action programme is definitely set up specifically for NEET young people and other young people that are harder to reach.
Getting young people to go abroad and to experience that, to meet people, they suddenly realise that actually I've got such an amazing opportunity.
I think it's really important when going for jobs to have the skills that kind of international experience gives you. We can't get into or we can't work in those skills because we
What employers are looking for aren't just about the skills, whether you can count, whether you can write. It's about how you can mix and interact with people.
EVS has given me so many different new work possibilities. For example, it's first of all given me experience in a sector that I had not previously worked or studied in. So that gave me the actual practical work experience that I could show to future employers. It's also allowed me to work as a trainer here in Northern Ireland.
I think it increases your leadership skills because you're set new tasks and you have to adapt and you have to be flexible. You have to show your leadership skills, and I think that's a big quality which, you know, people are looking for when they employ you.
I think the skills I've learnt in terms of communication and dialogue have been huge. I don't think I could have passed an interview before I've done this, and since then I definitely have. So.
The involvement in international youth work activities should not be reserved for a select few. All young people should have the opportunity and indeed the right to take part.
Because Northern Ireland has moved so far, we have become what Bill Clinton referred to as a beacon of hope for the rest of the world. So for me, not only is international work, particularly with other regions that have suffered from conflict, an important thing to do, I actually feel that we have an obligation to do that work.
It gave me an interest in my community, it gave me an interest in my country and what's happening. It gave me an interest in the European dimension, but also give me an interest in actually the young people that are coming up behind me, because young people need to have the experiences that I had.
If we are truly to assist our young people in preparing for life within an increasingly multicultural, divided and competitive world, of which Northern Ireland is just a small part, we need to adopt a much more forward and outward-looking approach to non-formal education.
Another, I suppose, very important thing that EVS has changed in my life is we were in a big group of European volunteers, and I just happened to meet a beautiful girl from Portugal, and she was silly enough to come back to Northern Ireland, and she's now living and working in Northern Ireland. She's employed by Volunteer now, and she's very happy, and we're continuing that EVS European Voluntary Service story here in Northern Ireland, so you never know what might happen.